having a great day and are ready for a strange project. I'll admit it is really strange, but it's also a lot of fun. I have my cat here just to show a couple of things in a minute. Before I get started, I want to say that safety is so important with cat toys. If you make this for your cat, please keep an eye on it and make sure that pieces aren't coming off or that it's not suddenly becoming dangerous for your cat. So what is it? It is a toy made out of cat fur. I'm a crafter and I've done needle felting and the hot water agitation soap felting, and I wondered, would this work with my cat's fur? Because if you've ever had a long-haired cat, you've probably noticed they get mats, and those mats look a lot like things that have been felted, so I wanted to try it and see if it would work. I took my cat's fur and I made it into a ball that my cat could then play with, so it was like my cat made his own toy, and I just think it's kind of a conversation starter. It's something fun, it's something funny. Here's the ball right here. This is from years ago and it's still in good shape, as you can tell. This cat is no longer with us, but I always have this of him, and now my current cats play with this ball, so that's kind of neat as well. So let me show you what you're going to do to prepare to make your cat a felted fur ball. So what you want to do is comb your cat, and as fur comes out, she's a kitten, so she's not really going to be shedding all that much right now, but as the fur comes out, you want to have a container to put it in, like a baggie. This is my other cat's hair. I should talk about fur length a little bit, because the cat that I did this with before was a long-haired cat. The cat that I have been collecting fur from is a short-haired cat. I can't say that this will work with all cat hair types or cat fur types. I honestly don't know. But it is a project that's free to try, and before you go to the lengths of saving tons and tons of fur to see if it will work, you can just try with a tiny little bit that you'll throw away to see if it even works. Then you'll know if this project even works and if you even want to try it. So it doesn't take a lot of fur just to see if it felts, but it takes a lot to make a ball. So once you have this, unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask little Aggie to leave because I don't want her to be around the hot water that we're going to have to use and the soap and everything. Alright, so we're going to get started now. What you want to do is take the fur, and as you collect it, it's almost going to start forming into kind of a felted type of a situation, so you may want to fluff it up. Another thing worth mentioning is you might think, oh, this is filthy, it's dirty, but just know that the felting process uses soap and agitation and hot water, so you are going to be cleaning this as you work with it, so that's something you don't really have to worry about too much. Now, if you have fur that has felted like this and has already gone kind of into a felted shape, you can just start wrapping it. Another thing you can do if you have very loose fur is to twist it on itself, and I don't have any that's like that. Mine has really kind of already felted itself. I'm going to show you what you can do if the fur is a little bit looser than mine is. This, by the way, is from Minnie. As I mentioned, she's my short-haired cat. But what you want to do is you would hold basically this in your hand and kind of pull it out, and while you're pulling it, twist it. And then when you have a decent length, you probably want about 18 inches or so, you're then going to fold it in half and let it twist around itself. Hopefully you saw that turned into kind of a yarn. And then when you have that, then you can start rolling it around into a ball, because it'll give it a little bit more substance and it won't pull apart. But as I said, her fur really kind of already has felted into this type of shape in which I can already roll it. So that's a couple options. You know, if it's not doing this for you, then you might want to instead make a yarn out of it. So anyway, let's get started. What we're going to do is we're just going to take it, and the same as you would with wool roving, if you've ever worked with that, you just want to make sure that it's very tightly wound. You don't want this to fall apart, and you just wrap it around like a ball. If you need to, if something falls off, that's fine. You just go like that. If a piece falls off or anything, that's fine. Don't worry about it. You just stop and then get another piece that looks like it's going to work, and you start wrapping again. There's no real science to this, but the main thing you want to make sure is that you are tightly making a ball that's holding its shape, because if you don't do that, as soon as you put it in the hot water, it is going to fall apart or get loose and it's just not going to work. So you need to make sure that you're actually making a ball that can hold its shape. And as long as you're doing that, however you're having to force the fur to cooperate is fine. If you run into a situation where the fur is just not cooperating with you, it's kind of matted and it's not loose enough to make any yarn or anything, what you can do is fluff it up in your hand like this, and then, like I said, start pulling a little bit out. As you pull, you want to twist it. And just keep pulling and twisting, and making a yarn, which you may or may not have to double up on. So I'm getting to the point where the ball is sort of getting large, and that means I really need to have a long length to kind of tightly wind around it. So I'm going to want to make a yarn. What you want to do is go very, very slowly and just twist while you're pulling on the yarn, because you want to make sure it's catching the stuff on this side. And as you are winding it like this, you can also start winding it around the ball. If you ever lose what you're trying to get, you might want to kind of tease it out and make sure it's still in there, and then just keep going. And you'll see that you're kind of making a yarn. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be enough where you can wrap it and get a little bit more of a structure to your ball. If it still keeps breaking, you'll want to do that trick to make the yarn stronger where it's doubled up on itself. But in a lot of cases, you can just do this and kind of make it while you're wrapping it. This ball is starting to look big, but during the felting process, it's really, really going to shrink. And of course, it depends on how tightly you have wound it, and it depends on your cat's fur and lots of different factors, but it is really going to shrink, and you want to make sure it's large enough to be safe for your cats to play with it. I've always felt that the one that I made before is a little bit too small, even though my cats have never tried to eat it or anything like that. It just, to me, looks smaller than most cat toys that you can find on the market, and you kind of want it to be of a similar size. If you ever buy or have made felted wool cat toys, and cats love them by the way, I wanted to mention these are much denser. They are not light and airy like lamb's wool toys, so that is another thing to keep in mind too, because if you make it huge, then your cat may not end up liking it because it's not going to be a nice light toy for them to play with. It'll be a bowling ball. So you don't want to make it too huge, and because of the fact that it's already so dense. I feel like this is pretty big, and I'm going to move on to the next step. This next stage requires hot water, and I want you to be safe, so make sure that it is not hot enough to burn you, okay? But you do want it to be hot. You'll also want probably some paper towels just for cleanup, and you need a mild soap. With the soap, people might use dish soap. You just want to make sure there's no conditioner in it or anything, okay? I have kind of saturated this cat toy with soap, and I'm going to dip it in the hot water. And then after you do that, you just kind of rub it, and you want to keep the ball shape. So you can kind of do this type of motion in your hand that's going to help it keep that shape. And do this for a little while before you dip it again, because you want to make sure it keeps that ball shape. You don't want to lose all that hard work that you just did. So we're just going to get it really saturated with the soap and in a good ball shape here. And then we're going to dip it again. And you just keep doing that. This part of the craft takes forever. Definitely not as long as saving up fur. It does take forever though, but you will just be so proud of yourself and just have a lot of fun. And, you know, unless they lose it, I'll always have this ball and I can say, that was Minnie. So, it's really a fun thing to do. Now, I also have a bowl of cold water here, and every once in a while, you can dip it in there and just kind of shake it around. And some people do that to kind of shock the wool. Whether it works or not, I don't know. I didn't Google before making this video, but yeah, you can do that if you want. Now you don't want to just do a motion like that. You also can just scrape it on you like this. All you got to do is just keep making sure that you are agitating it. You might have some cat fur come off on you. That is okay. In fact, you want to lose all that stuff that's going to come out or off. You'll want to redo your hot water. Make sure it's hot. And you will want to put soap on here again, and you'll want to dunk it in your cold water again, and you just repeat this process over and over. But don't just sit there felting in cold water, because you're not going to end up with the results that you want. You want to make sure that the water stays hot and that you are definitely doing this in hot water. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and I will come back when we're at the last step of the felting process. Hey guys, I'm back, and I wish that I had taken note of when I started and when I noticed that this was really looking pretty done to me. I think probably about 20 minutes, maybe around 15 to 20 minutes. If it looks like everything's really interlocked, that's when you know that you're done. I'm calling this done. I just see that it looks very, very interlocked. I don't really think that it needs any more felting. So the final step in the felting process is you want to run the ball under cold water, keep squeezing it, get all that water out. You want to make sure that the water runs clear, that you get all the soap out. You want this to just be fur. And then when you have done that, you're just going to set it on some paper towels to dry. These can take forever to dry, so if you're running any laundry, it doesn't hurt to just dump it in there when you're doing the dryer. Just dump it in the dryer and kind of help hurry it along a little bit. There's some loose hairs kind of coming out or popping up on the ball, and what you want to do is just kind of pull. You don't want to pull a lot, but just kind of help pull them up a little bit so that it looks like a porcupine. And then you want to go all over the ball and clip those fibers off and try to get as close to the ball as you can. You're just trying to remove any of these excess fibers and go over the entire ball and just make sure that those are completely removed. Of course, you don't want your cat to start getting little pieces of fur in their mouth and get a real fur ball or hairball. So you can see you probably get a significant amount of it off. So just keep doing that and continuing on until you feel like you've gotten all of it. Before I bring in Minnie, and she's not been in this video yet, even though this is her fur, so I need to bring in Minnie and show it to her first, I think. But before I bring her in, I just wanted to mention I had so much fun seeing what color her fur would turn. The ball made with her fur is really kind of like a heather charcoal because she's just so many shades. And with my other cat, who was white and cream, it made kind of a marble effect. I would love to know in the comment section, please tell me what color yours ended up being if you made this. I would love to know, and it's just so neat. And the other thing that I could have done with this cat is I could have separated his fur into 2 different piles and made different colors. So I would love to know what you end up doing. Please let me know. This is Minnie, and she is my hyper cat, so I gave her a treat just to get her to sit there. I'm not sure what she'll end up doing because she's not really in a playful mood right now. She's very hungry. But really, cats love these. They treat them like any toy, so even if she doesn't play with it, I promise that they do. They just love them. While this was drying, I tried to put it in the sun, and both of the cats went for it and would not leave it alone, so I finally had to put it in a different room and shut the door. I hope you and your cats have a lot of fun with this free toy. Have a great day. Bye!